The year was 2331, and the galaxy had changed in ways that would have sounded like a dream centuries earlier. Humans no longer lived only on Earth. They had spread across the stars, building peaceful colonies, trading knowledge and forming friendships with many different species. Together, these worlds created an alliance known as the Conquered Worlds. It was meant to be a place of trust, learning, and cooperation. Humanity had earned a special place in this alliance. They were known not for the strongest ships or the most advanced technology, but for something else: their ability to adapt, to connect, and to show kindness even in the cold unknown of space. Many species respected and trusted humans because of this. And yet, among certain distant civilizations there were stories whispered quietly, stories that spoke of moments when humans had been forced to go to war. In those stories, humans were not gentle. They were determined, unshaken, and unstoppable. Some called this ability controlled rage, a state where humans became silent, calm, focused, and frighteningly unified. But these were only tales, told far away, believed by few, at least until the Veshrak arrived. The Veshrak were a new species entering conquered space. They were tall, with scales that shimmered like polished stone and eyes that observed everything carefully. Their armor looked heavy, though they carried themselves as if it weighed nothing. They were known in their own region of the galaxy as strong warriors, but also as honorable and thoughtful. They did not start wars lightly. Still, the Veshrak had heard the rumors about humans, and they came to see for themselves. The Concord chose Commander Elena Ward to greet them. She was respected across many worlds, calm in her decisions, patient in her speech, and known for always looking for peaceful solutions. Elena had a gentle confidence. She did not raise her voice, yet people listened when she spoke. Her ship, the Horizon Star, floated in the reception dock of Harmony Station, a large, shining orbital platform that welcomed travelers from across the galaxy. It was surrounded by soft blue energy fields and decorated with banners representing every member of the Conquered. The air inside the station smelled faintly of renewal systems and flowers grown in the hydroponic gardens. Elena stood with her crew at the arrival gate as the Veshrak transport approached. Her uniform was clean and neat, her expression calm and welcoming. Her posture open. The doors slid open with a soft sound and the Veshrak delegation entered. Their leader, Ambassador Sarak Thalen, stepped forward. His armor was decorated with symbols of honor. His eyes studied Elena, searching for clues to her character. Elena offered a warm smile and a respectful bow of her head. "Welcome to Harmony Station. We are honored to receive you." Sarak bowed in return. His voice was deep, steady. "We thank you for this welcome, Commander Ward. The Veshrak come seeking understanding, knowledge, and peace." Everything began beautifully. The delegation was taken to the Hall of Exchange, where delegates discussed ideas, shared star maps, and learned about each other's cultures. The Veshrak admired human art and music, and in return they shared stories carved into stone tablets, tales of their ancestors and the stars they had crossed. But soon, one question began to rise again and again among the Veshrak. What is the truth behind controlled rage? At first they asked in small conversations, trying to sound casual. But curiosity grew into confusion, and confusion into worry. Finally, during a formal gathering, one Veshrak warrior could no longer contain the question. He stepped forward, his voice respectful but firm. "Commander Ward," he said, "we wish to understand something told to us in distant space. We have heard that humans possess a state of being used during conflict, a state beyond logic, beyond fear. A state some call controlled rage. Is this true?" The hall grew quiet. Some guests shifted uncomfortably. Others watched with interest. Many had heard the stories, but few had ever asked openly. Elena did not look surprised. Her expression remained soft and composed. She answered slowly, choosing each word with care. "Humans are like any other species. We prefer peace. We avoid conflict when possible. We value life and harmony." She paused for a moment and continued. "But when we must protect something, our home, our families, our friends, we do not hold back. We do not retreat. We do not fear. We focus. Completely." The Veshrak delegation exchanged looks. Sarak asked, "Then this rage is not wild emotion?" Elena shook her head gently. "No, it is not rage. It is resolve." Her crew stood quietly behind her, each one knowing exactly what she meant. They had served together in difficult moments. They had felt that silence, that unity, that unbreakable determination. But the Veshrak were still unsure. They had lived in a culture where strength was shown loudly, with shouts, with passion, with visible force. The idea of silent determination was unfamiliar to them. It felt hidden, unpredictable, and unfamiliar things often created fear. Still, the gathering ended politely. The Veshrak thanked Elena for her honesty, and Elena continued her duties calmly. Days passed, and the visitors continued their study of the Concord. Then everything changed. A signal broke across the communication network. Sharp, urgent, distorted, a mining colony in the Silver Reach Belt, a peaceful, civilian settlement, was sending a distress call. They were under sudden attack from a band of rogue space raiders. These raiders were desperate scavengers who rarely dared attack protected worlds. But something was different now. They had new weapon systems, powerful, dangerous, stolen from somewhere unknown. The colony begged for help. Their message carried the sound of alarm bells and frightened voices. The Concord Council began discussing how to respond, but they moved slowly. They needed to gather ships, confirm fleet routes, and avoid political complications. But Elena did not. Wait, she turned to her crew on the Horizon Star and spoke with quiet firmness. We are going to the Silver Reach Belt. Prepare for jump. Her officers nodded immediately. They trusted her completely. The Veshrak delegation was still aboard the Horizon Star. They had planned to observe human behavior during peaceful cooperation. They had not expected to witness a crisis, but there was no time to move them. As the ship prepared to jump, Elena spoke to the Veshrak delegation. You are welcome to remain in safe quarters during the operation. We will do everything we can to protect you as guests. Sarach stepped forward, his expression serious. We will remain aboard. We wish to understand your people truthfully, not only their peace but also their resolve. Elena gave a small, respectful nod. As you wish. The engines of the Horizon Star activated, and the stars outside the window stretched into long, glowing lines. The ship surged across light and space in a single shimmering jump. When they arrived, they saw it. The colony was burning. Structures were damaged. Emergency shields flickered. Families rushed toward shelters while pirate ships hovered above, broadcasting demands for surrender. The Veshrak delegation watched from the bridge. Their hands tightened. Their hearts felt heavy. Elena stood still at the center of the command platform. Her expression changed. She did not show anger. She did not raise her voice. Instead, her face became calm, completely calm. Her eyes sharpened with quiet focus. She spoke in a tone steady and clear. Battle stations. Every human on the bridge responded instantly. No panic, no fear, only movement, smooth, trained, precise. The Veshrak felt a chill. The shift was subtle but powerful. The Veshrak whispered among themselves, so this is the beginning of the thing we heard about. But they did not yet understand. They believed they were seeing controlled rage. They did not realize. They were only seeing the doorway. The real truth was still waiting in the shadows of what came next. The Horizon Star emerged from the jump with a subtle hum that vibrated through the hull, sending a quiet ripple of energy along its decks. Outside the viewports, the Silver Reach Belt stretched across the void like a chain of glittering stones, each mineral-rich asteroid reflecting pale starlight. In the midst of that serenity, the colony lay in chaos. Smoke spiraled up from shattered buildings, alarm lights flickered erratically, and tiny specks of metal, the remnants of defense drones, spun through space in silent arcs. Commander Elena Ward stood at the center of the bridge, her gaze fixed on the colony's distress. Her hands rested lightly on the console, guiding her officers with subtle motions that required no words. Around her, every crew member moved in harmony, almost as if they were extensions of her mind. There was no panic, no hesitation, only purpose. The calmness was unsettling to the Veshrak delegation, who had expected fear, noise, and confusion. Ambassador Sirach Thalen watched quietly, his scaled hands folded across his chest. His eyes, sharp and deep, scanned Elena and her crew, trying to detect the slightest hint of fear. He found none. Instead, he saw an unwavering determination that was almost frightening in its clarity. Is this the controlled rage? A young Veshrak warrior whispered to a comrade. His voice trembled not with fear but with awe. Sarge did not answer immediately. Instead, he observed Elena as she spoke softly to her tactical officer. Deploy the drones to perimeter Gamma. Shields at maximum. Evac routes ready. Begin civilian transport to secure zones. I want a clear path for those who cannot fight. Each command was delivered in a calm, even tone, yet the precision in every movement was unmistakable. The ship responded as if it had a mind of its own. Drones swerved to intercept debris. Shields flared to intercept incoming fire, and automated defenses engaged with a silent efficiency that made the Veshrak uneasy. This is remarkable, Sarge muttered. They do not yell, they do not threaten, and yet everything around them obeys perfectly. The horizon star descended closer to the colony. From above, the pirates' ships were visible, smaller, irregular vessels blackened with battle damage. They circled menacingly, firing bursts of energy at the structures below. Panic had overtaken the human settlers. Families scrambled for shelter as robotic emergency responders guided the civilians, following the commands embedded into their systems. Elena's eyes narrowed slightly, but her voice remained soft. Ground teams advance in sectors Delta and Epsilon. Protect civilians. Neutralize threats without harming infrastructure. The Veshrak delegation was stunned. Humans were doing something they had never expected. They were precise, controlled, and careful even in the middle of a crisis. For every defensive strike against the pirates, there was a corresponding protective measure for the settlers. No one acted recklessly. It was not anger, not hatred. It was absolute focus. One of the young Veshrak, a warrior named Trelak, leaned closer to Sarge. His eyes were wide. They fight like predators, but not for themselves, he said. For others, they are protecting without fear, without rage. But it is terrifying. Sarge nodded slowly, his gaze unwavering. He understood now what the old stories meant. Controlled rage was not blind fury. It was determined protection, a calm force that cannot be stopped once set in motion. Below on the colony surface, Elena's ground teams moved with the same precision as the ship above. They navigated through burning debris, guiding settlers towards safety corridors. They neutralized raiders efficiently, using non-lethal disabling weapons whenever possible, but striking with overwhelming strength when necessary. Civilians watched in awe, confused by the absence of shouting, the absence of chaos among the defenders. Elena walked among the ground units, her presence calm but commanding. A small child ran past her, tears streaking his face, frightened by the fire and smoke. She bent slightly, crouched to his level, and spoke softly. You're safe now. Stay close to me and we'll get you to your family. The child looked up at her, fear fading, replaced by trust. In that moment, the Veshrak observed something they could not have predicted. Human courage was always linked to compassion. It was impossible to separate the two. Above them, pirate ships attempted to coordinate attacks. Their war cries echoed across the comm channels designed to intimidate, but no human crew responded with panic. No one screamed. No one fired recklessly. Every action was deliberate, every response calculated, and every move precise. Sarge leaned slightly closer to the viewport, watching as one pirate ship attempted a direct attack on a civilian evacuation route. Before it could fire, the Horizon Star released a swarm of intercept drones that disabled the ship without causing destruction to nearby buildings. The pirate captain, stunned, attempted to retreat, only to be blocked by human tactical positioning that left no gaps. They anticipate, Sarge murmured. They do not act blindly, they think as one mind, Trelak shivered. But look at her, he said, pointing to Elena. She has not raised her voice once, and yet everything happens exactly as she wills it. How is this possible? Sarge's eyes remained fixed on Elena. He felt a growing realization forming in his mind. The human stories he had heard in his youth, tales of controlled rage, were not exaggerations. They were truths, misunderstood by those who had only heard them from afar. And now, he was seeing it firsthand. The pirates, frustrated and confused, regrouped for a larger assault. They did not expect humans to fight with such methodical control. But the humans, led by Elena, anticipated every move. Shields flared to intercept energy blasts. Defensive drones blocked boarding attempts, and ground units moved with a choreography that seemed impossible to the Veshrak eye. And then, the moment came that defined the event for the Veshrak delegation. One pirate ship attempted a kamikaze maneuver, flying directly toward a shelter filled with civilians. The ship's pilot, desperate and reckless, had no idea that every possible defense had already been prepared. Within seconds, human forces surrounded the ship's trajectory with a net of energy barriers and automated drones. It could not reach its target. It was stopped not by anger or destruction, but by precision, foresight, and unwavering resolve. Sirach finally understood. This is the core of it, he whispered. This is what they mean. This is what humanity becomes when they protect. They are unstoppable because they do not fight for themselves. They fight for others. The pirates' morale faltered. Some tried to retreat. Others froze, unsure how to face an enemy that moved so calmly yet with such strength. The humans never attacked out of hatred. They attacked out of duty, and that made them more terrifying than any species Sirach had ever known. Hours passed, but it felt like moments to the Veshrak. The colony's defenders, guided by Elena, systematically cleared threats. Civilians were escorted to safety. Damaged structures were stabilized by repair drones. By the time the final pirate ship fled into the void, the human forces had already restored order as much as possible. Not one human casualty occurred, despite the severity of the assault. After the battle, Elena surveyed the scene with quiet satisfaction. She approached the Veshrak delegation, who had witnessed everything in stunned silence. Sirach finally spoke. His voice was low, respectful, and filled with awe. Commander Ward, I understand now. Your people, your species, the controlled rage. It is not what we imagined. Elena smiled gently, though her face showed the weight of responsibility she always carried. No, she said, it is not rage at all. It is focus, resolve, protection. Humans do not fight to destroy. We fight to keep others safe, and when the moment comes, we do not stop. Sirach looked at her, the words sinking deep into his mind. For years he had heard stories of humans in distant systems, tales of their fury, tales of their strength. But now he understood the truth. Humans were frightening, not because they sought to harm, but because their determination could not be shaken. Trellick, still young and impressionable, nodded slowly. I see now. It is not anger. It is courage. Pure, unshakable courage. Elena's gaze softened. And courage can be taught, she said. But it must be linked to love, to care, to the desire to protect. Otherwise, it is just violence. This is why humans are dangerous in the right way. Not because we want to destroy, but because we will never let harm reach those we protect. The Veshrak delegation was silent. They had come to observe humans, to study their behavior, and to understand the stories they had heard. And now they had learned something deeper than any tale could tell. Sirach finally spoke again, his voice firm. You have shown us not only your strength, but your heart, and that is something no enemy can ever overcome. Elena nodded, but her thoughts were already moving forward. The pirates had fled, but she knew they would return if left unchecked. The colony needed protection, and the threat of future attacks could not be ignored. She turned to her officers and her crew, voice steady. Begin repair protocols. Prepare patrols, and we will be ready for whatever comes next. We protect. That is what we do. And the Veshrak realized fully that they were witnessing not a myth, not a story, not a legend. They were witnessing the essence of humanity itself. The Horizon Star hovered silently above the silver reach belt, its sleek hull reflecting the glow of distant stars. Below, the colony had begun to recover from the initial attack. Structures had been reinforced, civilians were being escorted to safe zones, and emergency repair drones moved efficiently through the damaged streets. Yet the threat had not disappeared. The pirate fleet that had fled earlier was regrouping. Their small ships darted between asteroids, communicating in urgent bursts, preparing for a second, more determined assault. Commander Elena Ward studied the holographic displays on her bridge, her gaze sharp but calm. Every incoming signal, every possible trajectory, every potential attack was already being calculated in her mind. She was aware of the Veshrak delegation observing from their secured area. Their eyes followed her every move, their scaled faces etched with anticipation and a hint of fear. Ambassador Sirach Thalin's voice broke the quiet. They will not understand what they are about to face, he said, almost to himself. They think you are just another species. They do not know what you are capable of. Elena did not reply immediately. She did not need to. Her focus was elsewhere. Every member of her crew responded to her subtle commands with perfect precision, as if her thoughts guided their hands. It was not anger that fueled them. It was purpose. The first pirate ship emerged from the asteroid field, firing blindly at the colony's defensive shields. Their attacks were desperate, erratic, yet lethal if left unchecked. Humans on the Horizon Star did not panic. They did not shout. They acted as a single organism, moving in seamless coordination. Deploy intercept drones. Route Delta. Shields to maximum. Evacuate any civilians in the path, Elena instructed calmly. Drones shot forward, moving with inhuman precision. They intercepted energy blasts mid-flight, redirected debris, and forced the pirates to alter their trajectory. Each pirate ship that approached was met with the same measured response. The humans were not reckless, yet they left no openings. The Veshrak delegation watched, mesmerized. Trellick's jaw was tight, his eyes wide. "It is beautiful," he whispered. "They are silent. They do not scream. They do not panic. And yet everything bends to their will." Serac nodded slowly, his eyes never leaving Elena. "This is more than controlled rage," he admitted. "This is mastery." On the ground, human units moved in perfect synchronization with the ship above. Small squads cleared debris and secured civilians, while others engaged the pirates with disciplined efficiency. Every soldier knew exactly where to be, what to do, and how to protect those who could not protect themselves. Even when under fire, there was no hesitation. Their calmness was not passive, it was active. It was terrifying in its precision. A pirate fighter swooped low, aiming directly at a group of human ground troops. Its weapons charged with a bright, threatening glow. The soldiers did not scatter. They did not panic. Instead, they moved as a coordinated unit. Energy shields rose, force fields formed barriers, and defensive drones intercepted the attack before it reached its target. The pirate ship was forced to veer off, narrowly avoiding destruction but unable to harm a single human. The Veshrak could not look away. They had expected chaos, screams, and anger. Instead, they witnessed calculated perfection. Every human movement, every action, every thought seemed part of one large, unstoppable plan. Serac whispered to Trellick, "They do not fight with emotion. They fight with reason, and that reason is unwavering." Elena's voice cut through the tense silence of the bridge, soft but commanding. "Ground teams, advance to Sector Gamma. Cover the civilians and maintain formation. Do not deviate. Protect first, neutralize second." The humans obeyed instantly. Each soldier moved with fluid motion, forming a protective shield around the settlers. They did not attack recklessly. They did not seek revenge. Their purpose was singular: protect life at all costs. The pirates, frustrated and confused, launched a coordinated assault. 3 ships attempted to ram into the colony simultaneously, while others fired energy bursts toward the Horizon Star. They expected panic, chaos, and disorganization. They expected fear. What they did not expect was the unshakable calm of humanity. The Horizon Star deployed automated intercept drones, creating a moving web that blocked all incoming attacks. Ground units formed barriers and advanced as one, guiding civilians to safety. Every action was anticipated, every potential mistake corrected instantly. It was as if the humans were one mind, each individual connected through invisible threads of purpose and focus. One pirate ship tried a daring maneuver, aiming directly for the colony's central command center. The crew of the Horizon Star reacted instantly. Drones surrounded the ship, cutting off escape routes. Defensive cannons fired precise, disabling beams that left the ship incapacitated but intact. The pilot tried to maneuver around the defenses, but every attempt was anticipated and countered. Serac leaned closer to Trellick. "Do you see it?" he asked quietly. "This is not violence for the sake of anger. This is violence for the sake of protection. That is why they are unstoppable." Trellick swallowed hard. "They are terrifying," he admitted. "Not because they want to destroy, but because they will not fail in protecting anyone who depends on them." As the battle raged, Elena moved among her officers and soldiers, calm and composed. She gave directions with a soft voice, her eyes scanning the battlefield with meticulous precision. Each decision she made prevented harm, minimized risk, and maximized protection for the innocents below. The pirates, seeing their attacks failing one by one, became frantic. They tried psychological tactics, shouts over the comm channels, intimidating broadcasts, even feigned retreats, but nothing worked. The humans were not moved by fear. They were not moved by deception. Their resolve was absolute. Sarge observed Elena's actions closely. It is not just her. Every human here is like this, he said. Their focus is contagious. It spreads, and suddenly, you are part of it too. And then you realize, resistance is useless. Trellick's gaze remained fixed on the bridge. I understand now, he said quietly. Controlled rage is not rage at all. It is determination, absolute determination, and it is guided by care, by purpose. Hours passed, yet the humans never faltered. By nightfall in the colony's orbit, the pirate fleet had been neutralized. Several ships were disabled, while the remaining scattered into the void. Not a single human casualty occurred, despite the intensity of the attack. The civilians were unharmed, guided safely to reinforced shelters. Elena finally allowed herself a moment of relief. She turned to the Veshrak delegation, who had remained in awe throughout the battle. Sarge stepped forward, his expression serious. Commander Ward, your people, what you do, it is beyond what we imagined. Controlled rage, it is not what we thought, it is perfection. Elena smiled softly, though the weight of responsibility was still visible in her eyes. No, it is not rage. It is focus. It is resolve. We do not fight to destroy. We fight to protect. That is all there is to it. The Veshrak absorbed her words. For a long moment no one spoke. The battle had ended, but the lesson it left was clear. Humans were not terrifying because of anger, because of weapons, or because of aggression. They were terrifying because their purpose could not be shaken. When humans decided to protect, nothing could stand in their way. Sarge finally nodded, understanding fully. You have shown us, not your anger but your heart, and that is something no enemy could ever defeat. Elena's gaze softened. And that heart, she said, must always be balanced with care. Courage without compassion is just recklessness. Strength without love is just destruction. This is why humans fight as we do, not to conquer but to protect. Trellick, still young and awed, whispered, I see now. This is not a legend. It is the truth, and it is beautiful. The pirates' retreat left the colony in relative safety. Elena ordered the Horizon Star to hover in orbit, ready for any further threat. Repair drones were deployed, civilians were guided home, and the ground teams worked tirelessly to restore order. Yet even in the midst of recovery, the humans remained calm, composed, and unwavering. The Veshrak delegation, who had arrived expecting to witness chaos and anger, now understood the real truth. The strength of humanity was not in their weapons or their numbers. It was in their heart, their resolve, and their unity. And as the stars twinkled quietly around the silver reach belt, Elena Ward looked at the horizon. She knew the pirates might return. She knew the galaxy would always have threats. But she also knew something else. Humanity, when united and focused, could face anything. And the Veshrak had witnessed it all. The silver reach belt was quiet now, but the scars of battle remained. Smoke rose from repaired buildings, and the hum of energy shields filled the air like a soft sigh. For the humans, it was a time of reflection. For the Veshrak delegation, it was a time of revelation. They had witnessed something beyond anything they had imagined. What they had believed was controlled rage had been shown not as wild fury but as calm, unwavering resolve. Commander Elena Ward walked slowly among the survivors on the colony surface, her presence both steady and comforting. The ground teams had guided families to reinforce shelters, but the people were still shaken. Children clung to parents, elders whispered in fear, and the settlers' eyes were wide, trying to process the chaos they had survived. Elena's expression remained calm. She knelt beside a small boy who had been separated from his parents during the attack. His eyes were red from crying and his hands trembled. You are safe now, Elena said softly. We will find your family, and you will not be alone again. The boy sniffled and looked up at her, a mixture of fear and trust in his gaze. Elena reached out, gently taking his hand, guiding him toward the shelter. Around her, her team moved with the same careful purpose, ensuring that no one felt abandoned, no one felt ignored. Ambassador Sarge Thalan observed silently from a small observation platform above the colony. The Veshrak delegation remained with him, each member studying the humans with deep interest. Trelak, still young and impressionable, whispered to Serac, "They fight with such precision, but now I see they care. They do not leave anyone behind. Even a single child is as important as a soldier in their eyes." Serac nodded slowly. "That is the essence of humanity. Controlled rage is not about destruction. It is about responsibility. It is about protecting others no matter the cost. That is what makes them unstoppable." Elena moved toward a group of settlers who had been trapped in a partially damaged building. She coordinated the repair drones to stabilize the structure, giving clear, calm instructions. Her words were simple, her tone gentle, yet her authority was unquestioned. "Step carefully," she instructed. "Stay close together. The drones will support you. Trust the system. Trust us." The Veshrak delegation watched in awe. They had studied humans for years, heard tales of their strange, terrifying strength, but this was something deeper. It was not merely the ability to fight. It was the ability to balance strength with compassion. A Veshrak scholar leaned closer to Serac. "I see now. Their power is not in their weapons. It is in their focus and care. They fight to protect, not to dominate. That is why they are feared in distant systems. Not because they seek conflict, but because no one can break their resolve when others are at risk." Serac's gaze remained on Elena, who was now directing ground teams to repair energy conduits that had been damaged during the battle. She spoke softly to the workers, guiding their movements with gentle corrections, always ensuring safety first. "They understand responsibility," he said quietly. "They fight for others, but they also rebuild, they also care. That is the dual nature of their strength, and that is why controlled rage is misunderstood. It is not rage at all. It is courage and love in perfect balance." Meanwhile, Elena's attention shifted to the pirate threat that remained in the sector. Although most of the attackers had fled, a small contingent remained in hiding among the asteroids. The pirates were likely planning to return, but Elena did not panic. She calculated every possibility, assessing risk and preparing defenses. She knew that protecting the colony was more than winning a battle. It was about maintaining hope and ensuring safety for everyone. She approached Serac, who had descended to meet her in the partially repaired courtyard. The Veshrak's tall, armored frame contrasted with Elena's calm human presence, yet there was a quiet respect between them. "You have shown us something remarkable," Serac said. "Not just your fighting, but your heart. How can one species possess such precision and such care simultaneously?" Elena smiled faintly. "It comes from understanding. Humans fight not because we want to destroy. We fight because we want to protect. Every action is guided by that principle. Strength without care is meaningless. Care without strength is useless. When they are combined, that is the core of humanity." Trelak, who had been listening silently, finally spoke. "I understand now. This is why the stories traveled across galaxies. Humans are dangerous, not because they hate, but because they will not fail anyone who depends on them. That is terrifying," Elena nodded. "Terrifying to those who do not understand. But to those who see it clearly, it is a promise that no harm will reach those we protect, if we can prevent it." The Veshrak delegation spent the next few hours walking among the colonists, observing how the humans interacted with the survivors. Every question was answered patiently. Every fear was met with reassurance. Every small act of care, handing water to a child, comforting an elder, guiding a worker through repairs, was done calmly without rush, yet with complete attention. Serac and his delegation were struck by the stark contrast between the humans' calm demeanor and the intensity of the battle they had just witnessed. They had expected anger, chaos, and aggression. Instead, they saw precision and compassion in equal measure. Finally, Elena gathered the Veshrak delegation near the colony's central plaza. The battle was over, but its lessons had only begun. "Ambassador Serac," she said softly, "I know your people came to observe the so-called controlled rage. What you have seen is not what many outside of humanity believe. It is not rage. It is resolve. It is protection. It is the commitment to do everything in your power to keep others safe." Serac bowed slightly, his expression solemn. "I have seen it, and I understand. Your strength, it is not in fear or anger. It is in your dedication, in your courage, and in your heart." Elena nodded. "Exactly. Controlled rage is misunderstood because outsiders see only the result. They see humans become unstoppable, precise, and fearless in the face of danger, but they do not see the love that drives it. They do not see the reason behind the resolve. Without care, it would indeed be just rage, but guided by compassion, it becomes protection. It becomes courage. It becomes humanity. The Veshrak delegation absorbed her words in silence. For the first time, they truly understood. They had come seeking to witness something extraordinary, but what they found went beyond skill or strength. They had witnessed the essence of humanity, a combination of courage, care, and unwavering purpose that could not be broken. Trelak, looking at Elena, whispered to Serac, "I never imagined a species could be so complete, so strong, and yet so kind. They are not warriors in the sense we know. They are protectors, and that is more terrifying than any army I have ever faced." Serac nodded slowly. "You are right. This is not a test of weapons or technology. It is a test of the heart. And in that test, humans have no equal." Elena turned her gaze to the horizon, where the faint glimmer of the retreating pirate ships could be seen. She knew the threat was not fully gone. The pirates might return, stronger, more desperate, but she also knew that humanity would be ready. The resolve she had seen in her crew, the unity of her people, and the strength of their hearts ensured that they could face any challenge. "We will remain vigilant," she said softly, addressing both her crew and the Veshrak delegation. "Not because we seek conflict, but because we are committed to protect. That is our duty. That is our choice. That is our strength." The Veshrak delegation, standing among the recovering colonists, finally understood the truth of the stories they had heard. Controlled rage was not a myth. It was not rage. It was the power of humanity's heart, guiding every action, every decision, and every movement. And in that quiet moment, the Veshrak realized something even more profound. The galaxy had never truly understood humans. They had feared them, underestimated them, or only glimpsed the surface. But now, they had witnessed the core, the part of humanity that could not be measured by strength or numbers, but only by courage, compassion, and unyielding resolve. As the sun of the nearby star reflected off the repaired surfaces of the colony, the humans worked quietly, restoring order and peace. Elena walked among them, guiding, observing, and protecting, her calm presence a beacon of trust and reassurance. And for the Veshrak, one thought became clear. This was a species unlike any other. They had come expecting controlled anger. They had found controlled courage, and it was more powerful than anything they had ever imagined. The lesson was clear. Humans were not defined by their fear, nor by their enemies. They were defined by their choice to protect, to care, and to never give up on those who could not protect themselves. And that choice was unstoppable. The horizon of the Silver Reach Belt shimmered with the faint glow of distant stars, casting long shadows across the colony. The humans had spent the past day repairing the damage caused by the pirate attack. Structures had been reinforced, power systems restored, and civilians guided back to safety. Yet Commander Elena Ward knew that this quiet was fragile. The pirates who had fled were likely regrouping, fueled by desperation and a thirst for revenge. Elena stood on the bridge of the Horizon Star, her eyes scanning the star field. The Veshrak delegation stood behind her, their expressions solemn but eager. They had learned much about humans over the past day, not just the skill in battle, but the purpose behind every action, the calm courage that made humans unstoppable when protecting others. Ambassador Serac Thalen broke the silence. "They will return," he said, his deep voice low, "and this time they may come stronger. Are your people ready?" Elena turned to him, calm but firm. "We do not prepare for revenge," she said. "We prepare to protect. That is our duty, and that is what gives us strength." The first signs of the returning pirates appeared as small glimmers among the asteroids. Their ships moved quickly, coordinating in patterns designed to overwhelm the colony's defenses. But the humans did not panic. Every officer, every crew member, every soldier was already in position, guided by years of training and the unwavering calm of their commander. "Veshrak, you have seen the first wave," Elena said, her voice steady. "Now you will witness the truth of cooperation. Stand with us if you choose. Learn what it truly means to fight for protection, not destruction." Serac nodded. "We are with you," he said. The Veshrak warriors moved into defensive positions alongside human teams. their disciplined strength complementing the humans' precision. The pirates launched their attack, firing with desperation at the colony and at the horizon star. Their goal was chaos, but chaos did not come. Humans and Veshrak moved as one, an alliance forged not by time but by purpose. Elena's voice cut through the comms, calm and measured. Drones intercept at Vector Delta. Shields reinforced. Ground units advance to safe zones. Do not leave anyone behind. Maintain formation. The humans executed each command perfectly. The Veshrak followed closely, impressed by the synchronization and foresight of the humans. Energy blasts were intercepted before reaching buildings. Drones and automated systems blocked every attempted strike against civilians. And the humans, moving silently and with precision, guided the terrified colonists to safety. One pirate ship tried a reckless maneuver, aiming directly for the colony's central plaza. Elena's eyes narrowed slightly, but her voice remained steady. Divert drone swarm to intercept. Fire precision disabling beams. Civilian zones protected. The drone swarm moved like liquid, surrounding the ship and cutting off its path. The disabling beams fired with pinpoint accuracy, leaving the ship unable to move yet intact. Its pilot's desperation was clear, but the humans did not celebrate. Their calm focus ensured that no unnecessary harm came to the pirates. Serac whispered to Trelek, who stood beside him. "Do you see it now? It is not hate, not fury, it is determination guided by care. That is why they are unstoppable." Trelek nodded slowly, his eyes fixed on the horizon star. "They fight with purpose and love, not for themselves, but for everyone who cannot defend themselves. That is incredible." The battle continued, but each wave of pirate attacks was met with the same precision. The humans coordinated with the Veshrak, learning each other's tactics and strengths. Where humans moved with speed and strategy, the Veshrak provided strength and resilience. Together they formed an impenetrable defense, protecting civilians and neutralizing pirate ships efficiently. On the ground, Elena led a team into a partially collapsed sector where several settlers had been trapped. Her steps were careful, her instructions soft but precise. "Drones first," she said. "Stabilize the structure. Then we guide them out, one step at a time." The settlers followed, placing trust in her guidance. Even amidst the chaos above, her calm presence created a sense of security. Every move was measured, every decision made with the lives of others in mind. Above, Serac watched closely. "I have never seen a species so complete," he said quietly. "Their courage, their strength, and their care, all balanced perfectly. This is what the legends could never explain." Trelak, still awed, added, "And now we fight alongside them. I feel inspired. Their determination spreads to everyone around them. It is like being part of something larger, something unbreakable." The pirate leader, seeing the human and Veshrak alliance in full force, attempted a retreat, but Elena anticipated the movement. "Block escape vector," she commanded. "Intercept drones ready. No one leaves until the threat is neutralized." Within moments, the remaining pirate ships were trapped. Disabling beams immobilized their engines and drone swarms prevented any escape. For the first time, the pirates saw the full strength of human resolve combined with Veshrak skill. They were outmatched not by anger or fear, but by purposeful protection that refused to yield. Finally, the last pirate ship surrendered. The battle had ended. The colony was safe. The civilians cheered quietly, relief washing over their faces. Elena lowered her shoulders slightly, allowing herself a moment of rest. She turned to Serac, who stepped forward with a mix of respect and awe. "Commander Ward," he said, "your people, your species. I understand now. The controlled rage. It is not rage. It is courage. It is protection, and it is magnificent." Elena smiled faintly. "It is not something we use lightly," she said. "It is only called upon when there is no other choice. But when it is needed, we do not stop. Not for ourselves. For others." Trellick, standing nearby, added softly, "I will never forget this. You have shown us the true strength of humanity. It is not in your weapons, nor in your ships, nor even in your numbers. It is in your heart. That is what makes you unstoppable." Elena nodded. "And that heart can be shared," she said. "Cooperation, trust, and understanding. These are what allow us to grow stronger together. That is why we protect not only our own, but those who cannot defend themselves. That is the essence of humanity." Serac looked out at the colony, the humans and his own people who had fought alongside them. "Then we have learned something today," he said. "Not only about your strength, but about your way of life. We will carry this lesson back to the Veshrak worlds. And perhaps the galaxy will finally understand humans, not as dangerous, but as necessary protectors." Elena placed a hand lightly on his shoulder. "We do not fight to be feared," she said. "We fight so that no one has to be. Fear is not our weapon. Care, courage, and determination are. That is what guides every action we take." The Veshrak delegation nodded. They had come to observe, to understand, to test the stories. Instead, they had witnessed a revelation. Humans were not legends of destruction. They were legends of protection. Not out of anger, but out of love, courage, and unwavering resolve. As the sun of a nearby star reflected across the calm surface of the repaired colony, Elena gathered her crew and the Veshrak delegation. "The battle is over," she said, her voice soft but firm. "But the lesson remains. Protect those who cannot protect themselves. Care for those who are vulnerable. Stand together and no challenge can defeat you." The Veshrak leader, Sarak, raised his voice so all could hear. "Let it be known across our worlds," he declared, "that humans are not feared because of anger, nor because of skill alone. They are feared because when they choose to protect, nothing can stop them. And now we have seen it with our own eyes." The young Veshrak warrior, Trelak, smiled. "They called it controlled rage," he said softly, "but I call it courage born of love." Elena's eyes glimmered. "That is closer to the truth than any legend," she said. "And that is what makes humanity unstoppable." The colony thrived in the days that followed. Humans and Veshrak worked together to rebuild, sharing knowledge, resources, and trust. The alliance between species grew stronger, bound not by fear or power, but by understanding, cooperation, and shared courage. And somewhere in the quiet of space, the story of the battle spread. Across distant stars, species whispered about the humans who fought not with anger, but with unwavering courage and care. The legend of controlled rage would continue, but now it would be known as something deeper, something more inspiring. A reminder that the true power of humanity lies in their heart. The horizon stretched infinitely ahead, but for the first time the galaxy began to see humans clearly, not as conquerors, not as warriors fueled by rage, but as protectors, guardians, and symbols of hope. And humanity, as always, continued forward, ready to defend, to care, and to inspire, wherever the stars might take them next.